Hi everybody, it's Tammy with Frou-frou Studio, and I hope you will join me today as I turn this into something like this. Welcome back. I have been working like a mad lady on some fall journals, and I'm probably going to do 2 or 3, and they're all going to be in this style. And so I finished this one up last night, and I'm about to start another one, so I thought I would turn on the camera and show you all how I went through the process of using this material to make this kind of journal. And I'm sure this is not my original idea, but I did not watch any particular video or anything like that for this. It was just me kind of playing around with some file folders and some other materials. So if there is someone out there that has done it, please comment below that this is your idea, original idea, whatever, because I'm sure it's not mine. But anyway, so we're going to get started. This one that I'm going, oh, and by the way, we'll flip through this one as we're laying out this one so you can see kind of the layout. But this particular paper is Blue Fern Studio, and it is Eclectic Charm, I think is the name of it. And it's gorgeous paper, all nice, deep fall colors. So for the one that we're about to start, I am going to use Blue Fern as well, and I'm going to use this Compositions paper pack, and it is an 8x8. So this actual journal will be smaller than what this one is because these papers were 12x12. And so I just used regular 8.5 by 11 paper and folded it in half for the journal part that's in here. Where this one will be a little bit smaller. So, but I think I mentioned it before. I'm not much into the pumpkin cutesy kind of fall stuff, but I do love the deep rich colors of fall, and I think this paper pack and the other ones that I used both lend to those really deep colors, and I think they're very fall looking, so that's why I picked these two. So what I started with was just a file folder, and I found these at a thrift store. They just happen to be white, but you could use a manila one as well. And they're also a little bit bigger than a regular file folder for an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, but I think that you could use the 8.5 by 11s as well, as long as you're going to use, you know, even a regular 8.5 by 11 piece of paper folded in half. You should still be able to use just a regular folder. I'm using these because I got them for dirt cheap, and so yeah. And then this I got at Hobby Lobby. It's like corrugated cardboard, and you can get it when they have it half off, and it's like $1 a sheet. It is a 12 by 12, and you can see it bends. So it's a really cool product to add in your projects. And of course you can always take regular cardboard and rip it off and expose this part. and use it. I've done that as well, but I just had this sheet, so a couple of sheets of it actually, so that's what I'm going to use. So the first thing I did, I've already cut down the one that we're going to use, but I will explain how that happened. Since my paper is 8 by 8, I cut my file folder 8 inches, a little over 8 inches in length, and I scored it on the two outside lines. This is the center line. I hope you can see that. This is the center line of where the folder would actually fold naturally. And I used the two outer lines, which you can see on this folder. I hope you can see. There's a line here and a line here that are about 1 inch apart. And those are the two lines that I scored on to make my spine. And then I cut it. I'm going to fold the 8 by 8 in half. So my papers are going to be 4 by 8. And so when I cut the front part of the envelope, this part, I cut it at just a little over 4. So I'd have just a tiny overlap. So I made a cut, and maybe if I write this out, I made a cut, 8 inches this way. And on the front side only, I made a cut, at a little over 4 inches. Okay? And then on the back side, you have to allow for another score that is 1 inch wide. So you would have 1 inches here that you're going to score, and you're going to score at every mark across that 1 inch. Okay? And that is going to be for you to make this nice little rolled part. And if you score at every line, which I'm not sure how well that's going to show up, you're going to be able to round this so that it rounds. And so I score, and then I take like my glue stick and I roll it so that the score lines, when it folds up to be the nice little fold over, it rounds. It's not square. So it's kind of like a folio type thing. Okay? And then, as far as this flap goes, you can do whatever length that you like here. I did about a halfway. You could do less than a halfway if you wanted. And actually, I may trim that to be a little less than halfway, depending on what I think I will. I'm probably going to trim it about half this length. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and do that right now. My trimmer's over here to the side. And that way it'll be more realistic for what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to take probably another inch off that one side. Because I want just a flap. Okay. So now, this is what we have as far as, yeah, that's much better. This is what we have as far as our starting point. Okay. And then after you get all that cut, I need to do a bone fold. Do my bone folder across that front edge there. I didn't get it good. After you make all your folds and cuts and all that, and you have your nice little base, let me get this back one too. The front and the back one you want to make sure has a pretty good fold, because that's your starting points. And then the ones in between that are going to, that's the ones that are going to, that is not straight. That's the ones that are going to roll. Okay. Oops. Fumble fingers. Okay. So our next step is going to be, I take a piece of drop off of it, and I could have used that piece actually, and I reinforce this spine here. And the reason I do that is because that natural fold tends to be a little weak and it wants to fold right there. So if you do a little reinforcer there, that makes your spine where you want it to be instead of it naturally wanting to fold on that factory line. So we're going to start with that. Okay, the next thing that we want to do is we want to determine what we want our papers to be and where. And I'll show you in this one. For this particular one, and this is just a silk wrap. I did a piece of paper here to the spine, and then I did a different piece on the spine, and then I did a different piece on the back, and then I enhanced it with the cardboard. So the cardboard would wrap this spine, and then I just put a little piece here for decorative purposes. And then on the inside, I'll go ahead and show you the inside. On the inside, on the back, I did another piece of scrapbook paper here. I did actual book page in the spine, and I can take this out and show you because this is mounted with a Midori style binding. So this is a little book in the middle is removable. Maybe it's removable. Oh, it's hanging on my clip. Okay. I did book page here. I didn't do anything behind here because this pocket takes up the whole area, and I did book page here. And then that gave me coverage on the inside for everything that goes in there. And then we're going to create this little single signature booklet journal that's going to have some pockets and some corner pockets. And in the back there's pockets. On the back there's a belly band with lots of cool stuff stuck in there. And like I said, it's got the elastic Midori style binding so that can slide in and out like so. And then I created this little pocket that has a flap, and you flip it up, and there is a tuck spot here, and there is a pocket here. So that's kind of, I'm going to do, I think, the same kind of layout. It is going to be, of course, smaller, so we may have to make some adjustments of some of the stuff, but basically, I want to try to create the same layout. And then I just included this little clip because I thought it was cute, and I had used the brass on the plate on the front, and the brads that I used and the other embellishments I used were copper. I'm saying brass. Copper, because these little leaves that I used have copper stitching. So that was just to kind of tie everything together. And I put a little dangle on it that also has a little copper element of a feather. So now that we've talked about all that, we'll get busy covering the one that we're doing. These are pretty quick. It takes longer really to cover than it does everything else. And I see it, I'm losing some book page here. Let me put a little bit of glue on that real quick. And I just kind of did, I didn't really have a plan. I just kind of did what I thought went with the paper as far as embellishments go, color-wise and so forth. It doesn't really have a theme or anything like that. I just kind of picked some elements out of the paper and went with that. So I can't get my pen back in my glue. All right, so let's start covering our new one. Move this out of the way. So the first thing we're going to do is pick papers. I always pick the front cover first because that kind of gives me a direction to where I'm going. So let's look through our papers. These are gorgeous papers, by the way. I don't know if you guys have ever used anything from them, but I think that's actually from a different, oh, that's from Fairy Whispers. That one got put in the wrong pack, which is also a beautiful pack that I haven't used yet. So let's see what we can do. There are 2 sheets of each of these in the pack, which is nice, because a lot of times if I get a pack and it only has 1 sheet, I'm like, oh, I don't want to use that. But these actually have doubles, so let's see what we want to do. That's kind of cute, the bird. It's got colors I like. All of them have colors I like, but I think that would be pretty on the cover. You can see these gorgeous colors that lend themselves more to fall than anything, in my opinion. Okay, let's see if I think. I'm going to flatten this out just so we can work on it better. So if we put this here, I think that will look really nice because I don't think the flap will cover the bird. So let's cut this piece. Let's see what we've got. Sorry, I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can. But like I said, this is the most time-consuming part. Alright, so, and you don't want to, and I'm sure most of you know this as journal makers, I feel like that it works better if you do these front and back pieces, but you don't go across your spine with them. I think it works better to cut the pieces and then cut a spine piece to do separately. Okay, so there's our front and back. Now we need a piece for this little flap, and I'm thinking that I might want to go with, now what you have to remember when you do this is whatever you put on here, you're going to have this little piece right here coming across the front. So you want to make sure that whatever piece you pick for your little flap is going to coordinate with what you already have there, but not necessarily be samey. Because I mean, I like it to be different. So I like that piece there. We've also got this piece that has kind of the red damask, but see, I think that's too matchy for me. Let's see what else we can find here. See if there's anything else that I like better. You could do that, which would actually look pretty good, and it's about the right width. How much would we cut off of that? So that's a possibility as well, and actually I think I kind of like that as well. We may do that. So it would look something like this. Like that. Yep, like that. Okay, let's see if there's any other choices before I make up my mind. There's also this piece that has kind of strips, but I don't think any of those are wide enough. That one's not quite wide enough. We'd have to pick up part of those lighter florals. I wouldn't mind that going. And you know that would work because we're going to wrap the cardboard, the corrugated, around it. So that would give the look of lace. And it would cover up the part of the florals, so it would look something like that. See, this is why I do stuff like this not on camera. Actually inked. That might look pretty good. Let me try the brown one more time here. And actually I'm thinking the second brown here because it's, nope, I'm liking the brown, guys. But the second one is not as wide. So I think I'm gonna go with that. And we'll use that lace to embellish somewhere inside. If you voted against it, I'm sorry. Okay, so let's see. If I cut this piece at the blue lines, the outside blue lines, outside the blue line, and I always check twice because I'm notorious for not doing the right thing. Okay, so that is that piece. Yep. And actually, I think I'm going to flip it so that the double blue line is on the outside. Because I like how it brings in this little bit of blue color. And we can maybe use that as an accent color. Okay, so let's glue these pieces down. And I'm going to use the Pritt stick for that. And you want to make sure when you're gluing these, I think I said this already, but do not go across your score lines. Keep it inside your score lines because it will make your life much easier. Make sure I don't put there are little small words. I don't know if you can see them in the camera, but they're little small words on this paper, and I don't want them to be upside down. That would drive me crazy. And for those of you interested, these Pritt sticks are by far the best glue sticks I've ever used. I've had absolutely no issue with stuff coming up after it's down. And you know, I may take this other piece and actually use it as my spine piece right there. Yep, I like that idea. So we're going to go ahead and glue it down as well while we're gluing. What I'm looking at is the flowers to see if it makes a difference either way, but I don't think it does. I don't see any words. I don't see anything that indicates that it's going to be wrong, so I'm going to put the blue toward the back. And make sure I have about the same amount on each side of my spine. So now we have put the file folder to enforce the spine, and then we've also put this piece. So at this point, our spine is pretty sturdy, and we're actually going to cover it one more time, but it's probably going to be with book page. So it's not going to, although we'll add some strength, it's not going to be like cardstock. So, and that's got just a little bit of an overhang there. Okay, and then I'm going to put our front piece on. And then we're going to put our piece of cardboard here and our little accent piece here. And where's that smaller piece I already had? I've lost it. My craft room is such a mess right now, where I have fall everywhere. It has, there it is. It has exploded. Okay, another tip for this stuff is to take your bone folder, and if you'll go over it with your bone folder like this, it will take out some of the bulk so that it's not so thick, but it will still give you the look of corrugated, and it'll also, you know, still bend like you need it to. So you're not doing anything but just kind of flattening those surfaces out a little bit so that they're not as, they don't stick up as much. And so we're going to put a piece on our little fold, and I'm going to do it, let's see, probably, actually this side's already torn, and I tear this because I want it to have a rougher look. So I'm going to do, I think, about a 2 corrugations over. So it'll be about right there. And like I said, I'm going to tear it because I want a torn look. Then you can take that kind of back off, and it just gives a really nice torn edge look. Okay, and I'm actually going to put that rougher edge on the front. Need to take just a tad off the length. I'll trim that. Okay, so there's that. And then for this piece, I'm going to do teeny tiny slither because we don't have as much room as we did on the other book, but I do want to get the accent on the front as well. So I'm just going to do, you know, something like this, just so it's there. Okay, so we're going to ink the edges. Not with that ink, with this ink. I'm using tea dye. No, I'm using Vintage Photo. Right. And I'm inking and kind of roughing up at the same time. And you don't have to use this if you don't want to. If you want a cleaner look, or you could use fabric, or you could use, you know, whatever you want to put on the spine. But I would not use, unless you're going to score the scrapbook paper the same way that you scored the folder. I wouldn't use scrapbook paper because you want that to get that rounded look when it's closed. So all right, so We're going to put this here, approximately in the middle on both sides. And I'm intentionally leaving that rough, but I am going to use art glitter glue to glue it down. It has been so nice here today. It's only been in the 80s. Humidity's been low. You can really feel fall in the air today. And I know we'll have more hot, humid, miserable days to come before it's over. But today's a nice one. Okay, and while that's drying, move it up just a tad. I'm going to do our little sliver, and again, I'm going to ink it. I don't know if you guys saw my post on Instagram, but I did do some more zipper tags with a Halloween theme, and those will be the only ones that I do. So when they're gone, they'll be gone till next year. I think I did 7 altogether, and they are listed in my shop now, so take just a little bit off that. It's too square for me. Okay, so that is going to fold there, so I actually want to move it over just a tad. So we don't want it on that fold. I cannot for the life of me get this pin back in here today. Okay. Alright, so there's that. And again, that's just a little accent piece. I'll probably put some big page on that as well. Alright, so let's trim this bottom piece. And then we will get our folds back in there, and then we'll move to the inside. So, this one is our round one. So we're going to fold it over at the back one. And we're going to fold it over at the front one. And get this little spot right here. I'm about to just leave this pin out. It's driving me crazy. And then we're going to get our glue stick and we're going to roll. And all you're doing when you do this is you're giving this paper you're training it to do what you want it to do. See, now we have this nice little rolly spine that will close up our folio. And then on this end, we're gonna fold it on the front line or back line. And actually I'm gonna score that a little bit, because it's at this point it's getting nice and sturdy. I might actually have to take this. I'm gonna pause you just for a minute and take this to my scoreboard, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I went ahead and inked up the edges as well, so you wouldn't have to suffer through that. And this paper is a little bit thicker than the other paper I used, so I actually ended up removing this little support that I had put in the center because it was so stiff that I couldn't get it to bend well. The only other thing I did was I rounded the edges, all four corners, just to give it a nice finished look. So this is what we have so far on the outside, and I think that's really cute so far. And so now we need to pick our papers for the inside, and we want to keep in mind what we're gonna do here. I should have just left this unwrapped so we could flip through it. So for this one, I used pretty much book page across the back, except for this piece right here. And I think I'm going to do the same thing on this one because I don't need any more strength or weight to it. I just want to, you know, cover up all this white. So, do I have anything close by? I could have grabbed that while I was at it. Of course not. I could reach it pretty close though, I think. I believe. Maybe. Alright, where are you? Here we go. This is my wonderful German book page that Denise sent me, my little, she's my partner. We do swaps too, for different projects. You've probably seen a couple of videos for those. And she sent me this wonderful paper. I love it. So I'm going to use that just as soon as I figure out what I did with my tear ruler. I'm telling you, I am so disorganized right now in this room. It is unbelievable. Okay. So let me tear this off first. All right. We'll just get some prepared here by taking these edges off, and this paper is pretty brittle, and so this is really good use for it because it's going to get all glued down and it sturdies it up and has wonderful character on top of that. So we're going to need to go, actually I'm probably probably just gonna, no, I don't want to do that because I need a separate piece for, yeah, I could do that. I'm just gonna glue this whole page on there. And then because it crosses enough of the spine, it's gonna be like right in the middle. So I think that's gonna be okay. So let's just put our glue stick here. Now you will get some wrinkles in this, especially in the area where you've got your little rounded part, but that doesn't bother me that that's there because most of it's not going to show in the first place. These pages are really thick. They're just kind of brittle. And it has that lovely, beautiful German font. And I don't care that it's over because I can trim that off. And get one more piece. And I save these little strips because they're great to stamp on or to use in a collage because the color's great on them. Let's see how much of that we need. Actually, I'm going to overlap it just a little bit. Sorry, I'm probably going out of frame there. It's kind of hard to fit all of this. Okay, let's glue this side. Just touching to see how far I went over with my glue. Okay. Trim this. And you could have trimmed it before. I mean, if it bothers you to trim like this. find it just as easy when it's, especially when it's book page, just to trim after. Okay. If you have a little spot like that one right there that you can't hardly get to, if you take a piece of sandpaper, see if I can find mine close by, you can go right along the edge and it'll clean your edges up. Sorry if that's making too much noise for you. It'll clean your edges right up and give you a nice clean edge. And let's ink around this whole thing. Just so we have a good starting point on the inside. And we'll go ahead, after that, I'll show you how we're gonna put the Midori binding in for the journal part and the closure. See, I still can't say that. Closure on. And then next time we will do our pockets. All right, so all you do, you can actually do it several ways. The piece of elastic that I put on the last one was a piece that I had laying around, and I actually don't have any more of that. And so I think for this one, I'm going to use what do I want to use? I think I'm just going to use like embroidery thread or something. You need to make sure, oh look, I missed that whole edge. You need to make sure whatever you use, you're going to be able to get really tight and that it's not going to break. And the journal part is actually going to be bound with a pamphlet stitch on its own. So you're not holding the journal together with what you're doing. All you're doing is you're making a spot to put the journal. So, and actually I might use the eyelets in this one. That would be kind of cute. Okay, we'll let that dry a minute because I missed that whole edge there. Okay, so for the closure, for the thing that's going to hold it shut, that's what I'm going to start saying. All we're going to do for that is oh, look at, I missed this whole, oh, it's because I use glue stick. I bet this glue stick isn't going to stick to this whole paper because it's slick. That could be a boo-boo. I may have to go around that whole thing again. I forgot that paper was slick. Okay. Let's see how this goes. Maybe a total fail. Sorry if I have it off camera, but I'm just trying to get it close enough to where I could see what's going on here. Okay, so you're going to get a little wrinkle right here where your thing starts to roll. But I don't have an issue with that. All right. Because by the time you get your little pockets and stuff in there, you can't really see that anyway. And it's not hurting anything as far as the function of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 eyelets here. And then we're going to thread some sari silk through it. And I think that I'm going to use this color. Just to keep it kind of more blendy than, you know, contrasting. So let me find a couple of eyelets in my little stash. And this time I think I'll do this antique, just antique brass, because it's more of a browner tone, and I think that will look good with this. And let me get my crocodile, which is also MIA. Oh, right in front of me. Right in front of me. Alright, so if we want to go to either side of the center. So about right here. And then over just a little bit from there. And then put our eyelets in. I'm sure you all have done this a million times. Try to keep them from flying halfway across the room. This morning I was trying to do one, and I swear I think I picked the thing up off the floor about 3 times before I actually got it in. Like that. Like that. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. It's one of those days, people. And I can never find them because they hit the floor and roll. So I always have to get down and try to find them when I'm, before I vacuum, so that I don't vacuum them up. It's craziness. And watch, I won't have another one that color. Oh. Guys, it's one of those days. Nope. I don't. Let's see if I can pop this one out. We'll do a different color. If I can get it out. There we go. Lordy, lordy. Okay, here we go again. Part of the issue is that I'm left-handed, and this is the one machine that does not work well if you're left-handed, in my opinion. It's made backwards when you're trying backwards from what I want to do when I'm trying to put the eyelet in. And see, I just destroyed that one. And so it's really hard for me to operate because I can't. I've tried to do it right-handed, and it's one of the few things that I can't do right-handed for whatever reason. I cut with scissors with my right hand. It's crazy. There we go. And it's a really easy machine. It's just operator error. And I hope this is long enough. I'm going to try this one. I'm just going to feed it through here. Feed the other end through here. Like so. Tie a knot. Just to hold it in. It's not even a knot, just a single little thing. And then so when we're done and it's all nice and full, you just wrap it and wrap it and tie it in a bow. And that is barely long enough, but it will work. Like so. So that's how we will close it. And then for the spine, I don't think I can do it with an eyelet because I don't think that I can get two in there. I could do 1 and 1. Yeah, we'll do that. Here we go with the machine again. Okay, so I'm doing 1 on both ends. Let's see if I have 2 of the same color. I probably won't. Okay, do not. Do you see that? It tried to jump right off my table. All right. Let's try to do better this time. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take some thread, embroidery thread, because it does have the 6 strands. But I hope I'm going to be able to reach here. Let's see. I'm going to use a brown, I think. And I'm just going to thread it through the hole. And like I said, this doesn't have to be, you know, steel tough, because it's just holding the book in. It's not actually binding the book. So then, and that has popped up again. And then you want to get it just as tight as you can get it, and still have room to slide your book in. That may be too loose. I'm going to have to go back and adjust that. And we're going to glue this one more time, because it's still not gluing. I think I'm not waiting long enough for it to glue. I mean, dry. If it doesn't do it this time, we'll have to go to the 3-in-1. Okay. All right, so we've got that in, and what will happen is when we create our book, it will, I'm gonna have to cut it down a little bit from this page, but it will just slide up in there like we did, like you saw on the other one. Okay. And actually, I don't mind that paper. You just go ahead and trim that down. So we need to trim it to about, and that, yeah, it's still gonna have to be trimmed down. I started to say I could, no, we're gonna have to trim it down. Hello, Wailing Dog. So it will be like this. Yep. All right, so I think that's it for this one, and then the next one, like I said, we will start creating our pockets and our little ephemera spots and things like that. So thanks for joining me, guys. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and if you have, thank you very much, and stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time. Bye.